So how's it going, guys? Today we have a guest here once more. We're here joined by Lightning Snow, and we're doing a pretty interesting versus battle today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey guys, Lightning Snow here for another video, back on the channel. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. We're doing another versus battle just like we did before because you guys seem to really enjoy that one. And this time we're doing Juubito versus Guy. 8 Gates Guy more specifically. What are your initial thoughts in that one?
Well, ballparking it, I don't even know. I'm not even gonna try to even play devil's advocate with that one because this was tough. Like when you shot me this idea a few weeks ago, I was kind of at a loss because one way or the other, the battle ends in a draw. Like, I guess, so to speak, but there are plenty of factors that we had to take in for both characters. So my initial thought when you first introduced me to this idea was this battle is going to be tricky.
Yeah, they're definitely two very late game characters. They just show up in the War Arc. And there's one thing that you said, that it's either gonna end in a draw or in a victory from Juubito, because Guy is going to die at the end, because if Naruto doesn't arrive and save him at the last second, he dies. But I think we can assume that Guy's quote-unquote victory condition here would be to kill Juubito before he dies from the 8th gate.
Exactly.
I think that would be fair to assume, because I come from this standpoint that if Guy has to use the 8th gate against Juubito in the war, it's because no one else is there to stop him. And if Guy stops him, then he kind of wins, because then they win the war.
Yeah, and the tricky thing about this too is the time limit in which we give Guy. Time is a weird thing in battle like this. Like, a minute can seem like an hour in a fight like this. Do you have a certain preference of how long do you think that Guy can last in the 8 gates?
It is very difficult to tell, right? We get the panels in the manga. I don't think the anime is a good way to go about it because there's so much filler in the middle of that battle, so many flashbacks that weren't in the manga. And the thing is, the manga is actually split up, so the Guy fights a little bit against Madara, then they cut to Naruto having the conversation with the Sage of Six Paths, then they cut back to Guy and Madara. It's very difficult to tell, but we kind of ballparked that 10 minutes should really be a decent estimate for how long Guy can last that state.
I can agree with that, because, 10 minutes is a long time in a match like this.
How do you think the battle starts?
Madara wasn't really knowing how Guy fights. Obito, while he hasn't seen, 8th gate Guy fight, he still knows pretty much what Guy's capable of. It's possible that Obito might put up some defenses, right from the get-go, especially knowing, if I'm going to be honest, I'm pretty sure Obito knows what the 8th gate is, and he knows who Guy is and what Guy's capable of already. Because, Obito earlier on in the war was already commenting on Guy's destructive power with just base Guy. So, I honestly, if I was Obito and if I knew what Guy was capable of, I'd probably put up a True Seeker Orb around me, or a gigantic shield, because Guy's going to go ham on Obito.
And they were fighting before for quite some time. Guy and Kakashi and Naruto and B were fighting against Obito when he wasn't the Jinchuriki already, so he had some experience fighting Guy already. But the thing is, I just think the 8th gate is such a massive boost that any preconceptions Obito would have about Guy's power would be just shattered. And yeah, I think he would be very cautious about it, but would his caution be able to prevent Guy from just murdering him?
I don't think so, because I thought about this earlier, and even though we don't really see Obito using any of the Rinnegan specific abilities, a really good example in my opinion is if Obito decides to use Almighty Push against Guy, say if he's able to at any given point perceive that Guy's say if Guy charges up the Night Guy towards Obito and Obito has enough time, not saying he would because the Night Guy is pretty fast, but if he did have enough time to try to launch an Almighty Push, since a six-tailed cloaked Naruto was able to pretty much withstand a point-blank range Almighty Push, I'm pretty sure 8th gate Guy could do the same. I know that it was coming from a Pain who is significantly weaker than this Obito, but I think the difference makes up for it with Guy being in the 8th gate. So I think the strength difference balances out, and so even one of what I would say Obito's strongest moves. At least if we're talking about the Rinnegan specifically, doesn't do much against Guy already. I think a lot of what Obito may be able to bring to the table would be kind of rendered useless.
I agree with you. I don't think his base Rinnegan abilities that he would have access to would even be useful in this fight because he doesn't even use them. I don't think he's very proficient at them anyway. And then he doesn't have Kamui anymore because he gets nerfed by the Juubi being inside of him. And that would be his most potent defense because not being touched is better than having to block something. So I just think the only thing Juubito would have are his Truth Seeking Orbs and the way he can shape them and make them as a shield or even a weapon to fight against Guy. When Guy's fighting Juubidara though, we can see that he's able to crack through Juubidara's Truth Seeking Orbs pretty easily when he actually punches Madara straight. When he is not using the air with the Evening Elephant, he's actually breaking through them. And I kind of think that after the Evening Elephant, Madara got a pretty good beating. I think Juubito would fare much, much worse just from that alone.
Obito, shown himself to have some pretty good healing abilities, but I don't think it's anywhere near because Madara was legit. As he was saying, you almost killed me. He was already healing himself. I don't think Obito has quite that much healing capability. Like you said, I don't think he's gonna really completely walk away from a Night Guy or Evening Elephant just like that.
No, I think the Night Guy's gonna literally cut him in half. If it almost did it to Juubidara, I don't think Juubito has any chance of surviving that if it lands.
I wonder if, because we agree that the Truth Seeking Orbs individually, they're not gonna pose much of a threat to Guy, at least not defensively. But I wonder, do you think, in your own opinion, that Guy, whatever ability he can use, could beat out Obito's Sword of Nunoboko? In theory, the only reason why he even lost against that clash between Naruto and Sasuke was because technically his will was wavering. So let's say, for a hypothetical situation, Obito had his will had not been diminished at all. I wonder if, because like I said, Obito was pretty confident that he could beat Naruto and Sasuke with that sword. Now, I'm not saying confidence is going to play the entire role, but I wonder how a Night Guy clash with the Nunoboko sword would go. Do you think they'd be able to just tear through it like he would a Truth Seeking Orb shield, or do you think the sword may overpower it?
That's a very interesting point. I didn't think about it very much, but the Sword of Nunoboko is made out of Truth Seeking Orbs, and it technically disintegrates anyone that doesn't have Sage of Six Paths chakra that touches them. But the thing is, I don't think Guy would go for a direct clash with the Sword of Nunoboko. I don't think that would be the smartest move. I think he could just avoid the sword because he is much faster than Juubito, and then just counterattack. That sword's kind of clunky if you think about it. It's 10 times larger than Obito or something. I think if you get within range, Guy just punches Obito and kills him. I think Obito's best strategy would be to use them as a shield and try to buy himself some time, or he could use the 6 Crimson Ray formation and actually throw some Bijudamas at the entire battlefield trying to kill Guy that moment. Do you think that would work?
If Obito's fast enough to get him in the 6 Crimson Ray formation, I don't want to completely say it's 100% chance that Guy wouldn't be able to break out of the Crimson Ray formation, but I'd say it's kind of unlikely, considering that the Crimson Ray formation that was formed by the 4 Hokage, the Juubi bombs weren't even able to penetrate that, and I don't think Guy's destructive power is going to be able to replicate Biju bombs being charged at by the Ten Tails. This is a shield coming from someone who's significantly stronger than all 4 of them. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good way to end the fight in Obito's favor. Just trap him in the shield and start launching Biju bombs.
Yeah, I think the best chance Guy has to counter that would be to blitz Juubito before he closes his shield, when he is just protecting himself from his own Bijudamas.
Another thing that we didn't even think about. Now this is I guess it depends on whether you look at the canon as the manga or the anime, but there's a moment, and I don't even know if this is Obito doing this on purpose, but whenever he was monologuing to or berating I think it was Minato that he was talking down to, and he was slowly gathering his shield. He was slowly having the Truth Seeking Orbs surround him. And I said, I don't know if he was doing that strictly on purpose, but if him putting that shield up is that slow, like Guy is not gonna have much trouble like actually like speed blitzing Obito. Again, that's him talking and like while he's doing it, so I don't really want to say that's like evidence, like that's how slow the shields take for Obito.
The entire, like the ball shield that covers his entire body, that's what you mean?
Yeah, like when he was talking down to Minato, he was like doing that shield stuff and like forming the shield around him, and like it was going kind of slow. I don't think we've seen Obito quickly surround himself with the Truth Seeking Orbs like how Madara does, but that's like the only time that I can remember him doing something like that, and I just remember he was taking his time with it. So I can't tell if that was on purpose or that was how actually slow the Truth Seeking Orbs were taking.
You do have a point here, because even when you talk about Juubidara, it wasn't as though he could just close the entire shield around himself instantly, because when Guy was attacking him with the Evening Elephant, Guy was just using this shield at one direction, the direction Guy was coming from, and then Guy was just coming around Madara and shooting the Evening Elephant from the other side, and Madara couldn't react to it. If he could, he just would have used the entire shield to cover himself and not get hit by the Evening Elephant on his other side. So it's definitely not something instantaneous. I think you have a point here. It probably takes some time to close the entire shield, and especially when we talk about Juubito, who's vastly inferior to Juubidara, he should take even more time, and Juubidara was struggling against the Evening Elephant quite a lot.
If we go by just straight power scaling, if we're talking about like Juubidara, who's all his attributes in battle are above Obito's now, like strength, speed, reaction time, etc., then yeah, like Obito's going to be even worse position than Madara was, and Madara was in a crap position. Because again, like he said, like he wasn't even able to, like the guy was like literally blitzing him in all directions, and Madara could not react whatsoever.
To be fair, Guy had help against Madara. They had Kakashi, Gaara, and Minato and Lee helping him, but still, I think that doesn't really make up for the difference of how much more powerful Juubidara is if you compare him to Juubito.
I meant to say is that like whenever Guy was like circling around him, like literally shooting off like weaponizing the air around him and like penetrating Madara, like Madara could not react, and like Guy was literally flying around him and running circles around Madara. Like Obito would be even in a worse position that Madara was in.
Oh yeah, for sure. And if you think about it, alive Madara, the one who was actually taming the tail beasts when he came back through Rinne Tensei, he is actually faster and has a better reaction time than Juubito, because Juubito could not react to Tobirama's Flying Thunder God, and that Madara, without the 10 tails, easily reacted to it, and no diff Tobirama.
We're giving Guy like a lot of clout right now, and I think he has the potential to obviously kill Obito. It's just like we said at the beginning of the video, it's all about if we think that he can do it within the time limit, and that's like the trickiest part about a fight like this. Guy has all these opportunities and abilities to actually take Obito out, but then again, like Obito does have some maneuvers, like both defensively and offensively, that he might be able to survive long enough. Madara barely survived, as he stated himself. So personally, I'm leaning more towards Guy just on that speech alone from Madara. And again, as we said, Obito should be just overall weaker, or I guess lesser than Madara in the Juubi state. So, what do you think?
It's safe to assume that Guy would be able to charge the Night Guy against Juubito eventually if he wants to. And even if Juubito covers himself entirely with Truth Seeking Orbs, I think the fully charged Night Guy is gonna break through that. Even though if it kills Guy at the moment he hits, it still hits and kills Juubito inside. The only question is whether or not Juubito lets him charge it. We know it takes some time at least, because he has to go on that weird stance and all that.
It's funny you bring that, because I was actually going to mention about that. If Obito has the wherewithal, because I don't think he's going to know explicitly what the Night Guy is, but he's going to see Guy charging up for a speed blitz, essentially. So what Obito might do is he might do what I said earlier and, charge up, well, I guess you can say charged up, but the sword of Nunoboko, and he might do a clash with Night Guy with the sword, like I said earlier. So like that would probably be Obito's best bet, because I think if he tries to put up a shield, I think the Night Guy is just go right through that. So it all depends on if we give that wherewithal to Obito to do that. And like I think the amount of time to summon the sword is probably the same, or like around the same time it would be to charge up the night guy.
I think that's fair, but even if he uses the sword, I don't think he has the speed just to react to a guy coming his direction with a sword, to be honest. Madara couldn't do anything. He was just standing there and guy hits him, and Madara he didn't put up any sort of defenses, and he couldn't even move because it was just that fast.
Well, actually, it's funny because, like, I agree with you, but it's funny that you said it because Madara actually did put up a slight defense. He put that little staff in front of him, but then right as he did that, like, he saw, like, space being literally bent around him.
I don't know. I get the feeling he was like telling Guy, oh, you are the most powerful ninja that I've ever fought against in Taijutsu, and then he kind of points the staff at Guy. I'm not even sure if he did that as a reaction to Guy coming towards him.
My point in bringing that up is that him bending space around him distracted Madara for a split second, and like that's not an attack like that is something you don't get distracted from. So Obito might do the same thing. Like Obito might see space literally being bent around him, and he might be like, oh crap, what's going on here? And then a second later, Night Guys blitzes him.
Yeah, I can see that happening. If Juubidara couldn't react to it, Juubito has absolutely no chance in my mind.
Exactly, yeah. If Juubidara was in a very crap state, Juubito is going to be even worse state. So I go with Guy.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's going to die at the end, just like you're supposed to. I never liked that Naruto just revived him after he used the 8th gate, but I think he definitely kills Juubito before he goes down. So yeah, I think we covered everything. If you guys have another ideas of how this fight would play out, definitely leave it in the comments below. Go check out Lightning Snow. He has some very interesting Naruto verse battles and other videos as well on his channel. I'll leave a link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching.